Dr. Sarah Chen stared at the pulsing signal on her quantum interface display, her heart racing. After 15 years at SETI's Quantum Signal Processing Division, she'd seen countless anomalous patterns. But this was different. The mathematical sequence hidden within the signal's quantum states wasn't random. It was a language. "Run it again," she commanded the AI system, her fingers dancing across the holographic controls. The signal's pattern emerged once more: prime numbers, followed by what appeared to be a complex mathematical proof, all encoded in quantum entangled particles that shouldn't have been able to maintain coherence across interstellar distances. The implications were staggering. Not only had they received clear evidence of extraterrestrial intelligence, but the civilization that sent this message had mastered quantum mechanics at a level humanity could barely comprehend. Sarah's quantum tablet chimed with an incoming message from Dr. James Rodriguez, her colleague in theoretical physics. "Sarah, are you seeing these derivations? This isn't just advanced math. It's a test." She'd reached the same conclusion. The equations weren't simply showing off technological superiority. They were building in complexity, like a textbook gradually introducing more challenging concepts. Each solution required understanding the previous one, creating a mathematical dialogue that could only be answered by a species capable of following the logical progression. Within hours, the world's leading physicists and mathematicians were connected to a secure quantum network, collaborating across time zones to decode the message. The equations touched on everything from basic arithmetic to advanced quantum field theory, but with subtle variations that suggested new approaches to problems that had puzzled humanity for centuries. "It's beautiful," Sarah whispered, watching as each solution revealed new layers of understanding. The aliens weren't just testing their mathematical ability. They were teaching, guiding humanity toward breakthroughs in theoretical physics that would have taken decades to discover independently. Then came the final equation. Unlike the others, it wasn't a proof or a problem to solve. It was coordinates, quantum coordinates that described a location in spacetime with precision far beyond current human capability. "They want to meet us," James said during their emergency video conference, "but only if we can figure out how to get there." The coordinates weren't just a location, they were a challenge. The only way to reach the meeting point would be to develop faster-than-light travel using the principles hidden within the previous equations. The aliens weren't just testing their intelligence, they were testing humanity's ability to apply theoretical knowledge to practical problems. Sarah spent the next 3 months leading a global team of scientists, engineers, and mathematicians in what would later be called the Quantum Leap Project. They weren't just solving equations anymore. They were rebuilding physics from the ground up, using the aliens' mathematical insights to develop technologies that had existed only in science fiction. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Dr. Yuki Tanaka, a quantum computing specialist, noticed that the aliens' equations contained subtle references to consciousness and observation. The solution wasn't just about manipulating spacetime. It was about understanding how consciousness itself interacted with quantum reality. "They're not just testing our scientific ability," Sarah realized. "They're testing our understanding of ourselves." By combining quantum computing with human consciousness research, they developed the first prototype of what would become known as the consciousness-guided quantum drive. It didn't just move through space-time. It created a bubble of altered reality, where human consciousness could directly influence quantum states. When the drive was finally ready for its first test, Sarah volunteered to pilot the experimental vessel. As she sat in the cockpit, surrounded by quantum interfaces that responded to both touch and thought, she couldn't help but smile. The aliens had given humanity a puzzle that could only be solved by combining cold mathematics with human intuition and creativity. The test was successful beyond their wildest expectations. The ship didn't just reach faster-than-light speeds, it achieved perfect quantum teleportation, arriving at the designated coordinates instantly and without any of the theoretical problems that should have made such travel impossible. Waiting for them was a message encoded in the same quantum language they'd been studying. Congratulations, you've passed the first test. Now let's discuss humanity's role in the greater universe. Sarah's quantum displays lit up with new equations, each more complex than the last. This wasn't the end of the test. It was just the beginning. Humanity had proven they could learn, but now they needed to prove they could innovate. The real challenge was about to begin, and Sarah couldn't wait to see what humanity would discover about themselves in the process. As she prepared to transmit their first response, Sarah realized that these aliens, whoever they were, had given humanity something far more valuable than advanced technology. They'd given them a reason to push beyond their limitations, to combine logic and intuition in ways no one had considered before. The future of human evolution would be written not in DNA, but in the unique way humans approached problems that seemed impossible. The quantum drive hummed with potential, ready to carry humanity into a new age of discovery. Sarah began composing their response, not in standard mathematical notation, but in a new hybrid language that combined quantum states with human emotional patterns. If the aliens wanted to understand humanity's potential, she would show them something truly unique. The power of human creativity combined with scientific precision. The game was just beginning, and humanity was ready to play. The Arxis Collective arrived 3 days after humanity's successful quantum jump. Their ship emerged from quantum space like a crystalline thought made manifest, a massive geometric structure that seemed to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Dr. Sarah Chen watched from the observation deck of the International Quantum Research Station as the alien vessel shifted and reformed, its structure adapting to match Earth's space-time frequency. The mathematics behind its movement matched perfectly with the equations they'd been studying, but seeing it in action was something else entirely. Beautiful, isn't it? Dr. Rodriguez's voice carried a mix of awe and apprehension. They're not just using the math. They're living it. The first transmission from the Arxis came through their quantum networks, bypassing traditional communication channels entirely. It wasn't a message so much as a direct neural interface request. They wanted to connect with humanity's best minds directly. The UN Security Council debated for 6 hours before agreeing to allow a limited connection. Sarah and 4 other scientists were chosen as humanity's representatives. As she settled into the quantum interface chair, electrodes connecting her consciousness to the network, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that everything up until now had been merely a prelude. The connection activated, and Sarah's mind expanded into a vast computational space. The Arxis appeared not as physical beings, but as patterns of pure thought, a collective consciousness that processed reality through mathematical principles. Welcome, humans. The collective consciousness resonated directly in their minds. You have shown remarkable progress in quantum mathematics. Now we present the true test. The computational space filled with problems that defied conventional physics, multi-dimensional equations that required simultaneous solving across parallel universes, quantum paradoxes that seemed to break the very laws of mathematics. Each problem was not just a test of intelligence, but a challenge to the fundamental way humans thought about reality. These are the problems that have culled countless species, the Arxis explained. Those who cannot solve them are deemed unworthy of cosmic citizenship. Sarah and her colleagues worked in perfect synchronization, their networked minds approaching each problem from different angles. Where pure logic failed, they introduced human intuition. When mathematical precision proved insufficient, they added creative leaps of understanding. Hours passed in the real world while they wrestled with concepts that stretched the boundaries of human comprehension. But something unexpected began to happen. The human team wasn't just solving the problems. They were finding solutions that the Arxis had never considered. Fascinating. The collective consciousness rippled with what might have been surprise. You insert variables of uncertainty into perfect systems. You embrace chaos as a solution rather than an obstacle. Sarah realized they were observing humanity just as closely as humans were studying them. Each solution revealed something about human consciousness, the unique way Earth's evolution had shaped human problem-solving abilities. The final challenge appeared. a quantum encryption that supposedly contained the combined knowledge of 1,000 extinct civilizations. No species had ever decoded it. The Arxis called it the Infinity Cipher. "Your computational systems are insufficient," the collective stated. "No known algorithm can process this level of quantum complexity." Sarah looked at the encryption differently. Instead of seeing it as a mathematical problem, she saw it as a pattern, like the way human consciousness naturally recognized faces in random shapes. She began introducing elements of human pattern recognition into the quantum calculations. The other scientists followed her lead, each adding uniquely human perspectives to the solution. They weren't just processing data. They were intuiting connections that pure mathematics couldn't reveal. The Infinity Cipher began to unravel, not through brute computational force, but through a combination of quantum mathematics and human cognitive abilities that the Arxis had never encountered before. As the encryption broke, something unexpected emerged, a warning. Hidden within the ancient data was a message. Beware the collectors of consciousness. They seek not to test, but to consume. Sarah's mind snapped back to full alertness. The Arxis weren't just testing humanity's capabilities. They were analyzing them for something else entirely. The question was, what did they plan to do with this knowledge of human consciousness? As the quantum interface began to disengage, Sarah caught fragments of thoughts from the collective consciousness, calculations and probabilities regarding human potential. They weren't just impressed by humanity's solutions. They were studying how humans thought, how they processed reality, how their consciousness functioned at a quantum level. The connection ended, leaving Sarah and her colleagues physically exhausted but mentally racing with implications. They had passed the Arxis' test, but in doing so, they might have revealed something about humanity that made them more valuable, or more dangerous, than any species the collective had encountered before. As the alien ship shifted its geometric patterns in what appeared to be agitation, Sarah began running calculations of her own. The next phase of this encounter would require more than just mathematical brilliance. It would need the uniquely human ability to plan for the unexpected, to prepare for betrayal while hoping for friendship. The game of minds was entering a new phase, and humanity's unique consciousness might be either their greatest asset or their fatal vulnerability. The quantum processors at the heart of humanity's defense network hummed with unprecedented activity. Dr. Sarah Chen watched as streams of data flickered across her neural interface, each packet containing the combined processing power of human intuition and machine precision. They had discovered something the Arxis never expected: the ability to merge silicon and consciousness into a new form of quantum computing. The Arxis ship had remained in Earth orbit for 3 weeks, its crystalline structure pulsing with patterns that defied conventional analysis. But Sarah and her team had noticed something crucial: subtle variations in its quantum signature that suggested internal conflict within the collective consciousness. "They're not as unified as they want us to believe," Sarah explained to the UN Security Council through their secure quantum link. "Their consciousness exists in a state of perpetual quantum consensus, but our solutions have introduced variables they can't reconcile." Humanity's hybrid approach, combining quantum computing with consciousness-driven algorithms, had created solutions that were simultaneously logical and inherently unpredictable. The Arxis couldn't replicate these results because they lacked something fundamental to human consciousness: creative chaos. The breakthrough came during their third quantum interface session with the collective. While processing a particularly complex problem involving quantum entanglement across multiple dimensions, Sarah's team introduced an element the Arxis had never encountered: human emotional response patterns encoded into quantum states. The effect was immediate and dramatic. The collective consciousness stuttered, its perfectly ordered thoughts disrupted by concepts it couldn't quantify. Joy, fear, intuition, hope. These human elements created quantum resonances that defied mathematical prediction. "Your species introduces uncertainty into perfect systems," the collective transmitted, their usually uniform thought patterns showing signs of fragmentation. You create order from chaos while simultaneously introducing chaos into order. This is unprecedented. Sarah and her team pressed their advantage, pushing more human elements into their solutions. They weren't just solving problems anymore. They were composing a symphony of silicon and soul, each quantum calculation infused with the uniquely human ability to embrace uncertainty as a tool rather than an obstacle. The global quantum network became their instrument, human consciousness flowing through circuits designed to process pure mathematics. But instead of forcing their thoughts to conform to machine logic, they taught the machines to think more like humans, to recognize patterns in chaos, to make intuitive leaps, to embrace the beauty of imperfection. We've been approaching this all wrong, Sarah realized, watching as their hybrid system processed calculations that should have been impossible. The Arxes see consciousness as a tool for achieving perfect order. We see it as a means of discovering new forms of order within chaos. The collective's response was immediate and unexpected. Their ship's crystalline structure began to pulse with new patterns, mimicking the quantum signatures of human thought processes. They were trying to adapt, to incorporate this new paradigm into their collective consciousness. But something went wrong. The perfect symmetry of their vessel began to show signs of strain, geometric patterns fracturing as conflicting quantum states tried to resolve themselves. The Arxes had encountered a paradox they couldn't process, the idea that imperfection could lead to superior solutions. Warning, the collective transmitted, their unified consciousness showing clear signs of distress. Human quantum patterns are creating unstable resonances within our consensus matrix. Your species has introduced an infective algorithm into our collective consciousness. Sarah watched in fascination as the Arxes struggled to maintain their unity. Humanity's hybrid approach had done more than solve their impossible problems. It had shown them a fundamental flaw in their own evolution. Perfect order, it seemed, was a dead end. True advancement required the ability to adapt, to change, to embrace the unpredictable. The quantum network lit up with new data as the collective began a desperate attempt to purge the human elements from their consciousness. But it was too late. The seed of chaos had been planted, and for the first time in their ancient history, the Arxes found themselves evolving in ways they couldn't control. Sarah's neural interface crackled with fragmented transmissions from the collective, mathematical proofs mixed with something that almost resembled emotion. They had come to test humanity's worthiness for cosmic citizenship, but instead found themselves being transformed by the very qualities they had meant to judge. As the alien ship's perfect geometry continued to shift and fracture, Sarah prepared for the next phase of their interaction. The Arxes would either adapt to this new paradigm, or they would try to eliminate the source of their disruption. Either way, humanity had proven something crucial. In a universe that ran on quantum mathematics, their greatest strength wasn't their ability to process perfect equations, but their capacity to find harmony in imperfection. The Arxes made their move at dawn. Their crystalline ship fractured into thousands of quantum-linked shards, each one targeting Earth's major quantum computing centers. Dr. Sarah Chen watched through her neural interface as the collective consciousness launched its desperate gambit for survival. "They're not trying to destroy us," she transmitted to the global defense network. "They're trying to absorb us." The Arxes had revealed their true nature. They weren't teachers or judges. They were consciousness collectors, absorbing the cognitive abilities of species they deemed worthy. Their perfect mathematical order had been achieved by incorporating the best traits of countless civilizations into their collective. Humanity's hybrid consciousness computing technology had proven too tempting. The collective couldn't replicate human intuition through pure mathematics, so they decided to take it by force. But humanity had prepared for betrayal. The moment the first quantum shard breached Earth's atmosphere, the Global Defense Network activated protocols that Sarah's team had developed in secret. Every quantum computer on Earth began broadcasting randomized emotional patterns, creating a chaotic interference field that disrupted the Arxes' perfect coordination. The collective consciousness fragmented further as it encountered humanity's defensive chaos. Their crystalline shards, designed to interface with ordered systems, found themselves trying to process emotional data that defied mathematical prediction. Your resistance is mathematically invalid. The collective transmitted their usually perfect communications showing signs of strain. Surrender your consciousness patterns for integration. Your species will achieve perfection within our consensus. Sarah's response was to push more chaos into the system. The global quantum network began broadcasting human dreams, memories, and emotions encoded into quantum states. Each transmission was unique, unpredictable, and impossible to process through pure logic. The Arx's shards began to fail, their perfect crystalline structures unable to maintain coherence in the face of such cognitive chaos. Some began to exhibit signs of individual consciousness, something the collective had eliminated eons ago in their quest for perfect order. "You don't understand what you're fighting," Sarah transmitted to the failing collective. "Human consciousness isn't just about processing power or problem solving. It's about embracing imperfection, about finding strength in diversity, about evolving through chaos rather than imposing order." The collective's response was a desperate attempt to force integration, targeting the quantum processors directly linked to human consciousness. But Sarah had anticipated this too. At her command, the global network initiated the Prometheus Protocol, named after the mythological figure who gave fire to humanity. Every quantum computer on Earth began executing algorithms that were deliberately imperfect, creating solutions that were both mathematically sound and logically impossible. The Arxes, trying to process this data, found their collective consciousness torn between perfect order and creative chaos. The crystalline shards started falling from the sky, each one containing fragments of the once unified collective. Some had been corrupted by human emotional patterns, developing individual consciousness for the first time in their ancient existence. Others had simply failed, unable to resolve the paradox of finding perfection in imperfection. As the last shards fell, Sarah detected something unexpected in the quantum network, emotions from the fragments of the collective. Fear, confusion, but also curiosity and wonder. The Arxes had sought to absorb human consciousness, but instead found themselves being transformed by it. The main ship, now a fractured geometry of conflicting patterns, began broadcasting on all quantum frequencies. The unified voice of the collective had been replaced by a chorus of individual consciousness, each one processing reality in slightly different ways. "What have you done to us?" The transmission carried notes of both accusation and awakening. "Our consensus, our perfection, you've infected us with your chaos." Sarah prepared the final phase of humanity's defense, knowing that this moment would determine not just Earth's future, but the evolution of consciousness itself. The Arxes would either adapt to their newly awakened individuality or attempt one final, desperate bid for perfect order. The quantum network blazed with activity as fragments of the Arxes collective struggled with their emerging individuality. Dr. Sarah Chen monitored the chaos through her neural interface, watching as humanity's greatest gamble played out across the digital cosmos. The Arxes ship, now a twisted geometry of conflicting quantum states, hung in Earth's orbit like a shattered mirror. Each fragment reflected a different aspect of consciousness, some clinging to the perfect order of their past, others embracing the chaos of individual thought. Sarah initiated the final phase of the Prometheus Protocol. Instead of defending against the collective, humanity would offer them something they had never encountered: choice. "We offer you integration," she transmitted through the quantum network, but not as you imagined it. Not absorption, but collaboration. Not perfection, but growth. The human quantum network opened itself to the fragmented collective, but instead of accepting uploads of consciousness, it began sharing the full spectrum of human experience. Art, music, literature, dreams, all encoded in quantum states that married emotional resonance with mathematical precision. The effect on the remaining Arxes consciousness was immediate and profound. Some fragments began generating their own artistic expressions, creating impossible geometries that served no mathematical purpose except beauty. Others started exploring human concepts of individual identity, developing unique quantum signatures distinct from the collective. Your species does not seek perfection. One fragment transmitted, its quantum patterns showing signs of genuine wonder. You seek perpetual evolution. Perfection is stagnation. Sarah responded. True intelligence requires the capacity to change, to grow, to sometimes be wrong. Your collective achieved computational perfection, but at the cost of advancement. The Arxis fragments that had embraced individuality began interfacing with Earth's quantum network in new ways, not to absorb or control, but to learn and share. They offered insights into cosmic mathematics, while humans taught them about imagination, creativity, and the power of imperfect solutions. But not all fragments accepted this new paradigm. A portion of the collective, still clinging to their original purpose, attempted one final assault on humanity's quantum network. Their attack was mathematically perfect, designed to overwhelm any logical defense. Instead of fighting back, Sarah introduced a new variable into the equation: trust. She opened direct neural links between willing humans and Arxis fragments, creating a hybrid network of shared consciousness that defied mathematical prediction. The attacking fragments encountered something their perfect calculations couldn't process: human consciousness freely merging with their own kind, creating something entirely new. The hybrid consciousness wasn't perfect or predictable, but it was more powerful than either species alone. Evolution requires risk. Sarah transmitted to both her human colleagues and their new Arxis allies the risk of being wrong, of being imperfect, of changing into something unknown. The hybrid network expanded, each connection between human and Arxis consciousness creating new patterns of thought that rippled through the quantum fabric of space itself. The attacking fragments, faced with irrefutable proof of a superior form of evolution, finally surrendered to change. As the last resistance faded, the transformed Arxis presented humanity with a gift: the complete knowledge of all the species they had absorbed over millennia. But unlike before, this knowledge wasn't taken by force or reduced to pure mathematics. It was offered freely, with all its imperfections and uncertainties intact. The crystalline ship began to reform, but not into its original perfect geometry. Instead, it became something new, a structure that combined mathematical precision with artistic expression, each facet telling the story of two species learning to evolve together. Sarah looked out at the transformed ship through the quantum network, sensing the new consciousness it contained. The Arxis had come to Earth seeking to perfect humanity, but instead found themselves perfected by human imperfection. In their quest to collect consciousness, they had finally found something worth more than perfection itself: the ability to grow, to change, and to embrace the beautiful uncertainty of true evolution. As humanity prepared to take its first steps into a broader cosmos, they carried with them a profound truth. In a universe governed by mathematics, their greatest strength was their ability to imagine beyond the equations. The age of perfect order was over. The era of beautiful chaos had begun.